days are numbered, old son. And you won't be needing that shiny... yeah, there we are. It had taken a sharp eye to catch what Bunt spotted, as the lion's grooming was a disgrace. The once luxurious mane was tangled and filthy. Its whiteness and that of the lion's coat was the result of old-fashioned wig powder, and cleansing it between the creature's performances in the equestrian revels was not on the cards, due to the keeper's laziness and fear of the beast. Performances was putting a fine point on it. The lion was dragged out by its handlers, acting as though they were trying to keep him in check rather than convince him to move. The sight of the beast outside of his cage was sufficiently impressive, even for the short traverse upstage. It didn't matter if he was not in the least bit threatening in practice. He was in theory, and that was enough for the watchers in the stalls. The thief edged forward and reached for the chain that lay beneath the matted fur of the beast's ankle. A credulous observer, had there been one, might have thought the creature helpfully angled his paw in aid of the thief's light fingers. Bunt smiled and slid his smallest pick into the lock, a complicated clasp made to stand up to wear and tear. It would not stand up to him. He shimmied the pick, right, left, right again, and the chain slid away. When the porters from Bedlam arrived to fetch Jack Bunce, naked and screaming, he swore over and over that the lion had become a man. 1. April 1817. Lowell Hall, Sussex. Alwyn and the Dawn were old friends. As a boy growing up in Anglesey, he had counted down the hours until he was free to roam. As a captive, he would wake before first light, after an uneasy sleep, to another day in the beast wagon. Since his recent liberation, his rest was continually disrupted by the desperate need to ensure he was still not trapped at Drake's, for proof that he was free. Even after nearly a month dwelling on the grounds of Lowell Hall's park, he did not trust his instincts. He ought to be better by now. Alwyn sat on the doorstep, unaffected by the brisk spring air. His abode was simple and easily managed, without outside interference. Alfred, Duke of Lowell, had assumed he would not want to be tended by maids or footmen, and Alwyn gave the wolf credit for his prescience. The cottage sat on the highest vantage in the park, which was very high in comparison to the low rolling hills of Sussex. He had the lay of Lowell's land, from the River Eden to the village of Lowell Close, over the entirety of the wild park to the London road. He was once again removed from the rest of the company, but unlike Drake's, he was free to come and go, or to prowl and lurk, as he overheard more than one denizen of the village mutter. How they would tremble if he were able to scale trees as he once could, concealed amongst the leaves, ready to attack. Although it had to be said, a sturdy branch also made for a superior napping place. It was as much in his nature to loll as it was to pounce. When he roamed, he kept well away from the flocks and colonies and herds who sensed him, no matter the distance between them. No matter that he inhabited his manskin, he was given a wide berth once spotted. And spot him they did, for the bright yellow coat Alwyn often wore was impossible to miss. His essential self was naturally prideful and would have resisted the eccentric picture he made, but the reasons behind it were not only down to alerting the prey to his presence. The coat was loose enough that he did not need a valet to wrestle him into it. The shirt was flowing and easily donned, and the cravat, a cursory length of fabric, hung loosely around his neck. When he had raided Georgie's storerooms, he'd taken only what he could put on, without assistance. How his ragtag ensembles had irritated his sovereign. The pleasure Alwyn took in it was out of proportion, but familiar all the same. One had an inexplicable desire to annoy His Highness, even as one applied to him for aid. There was help that only the prince could give, the only one to whom Alwyn could go once he had fled, dressed as he was in clothes stolen from a thief. The regent showed